Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you for supporting my last video. I really appreciate the support. Today I decided to talk about something that I think we're all struggling with to some degree. I learned a couple weeks ago in a church lesson that phones are not good things, and that if we feel any depression or anxiety, we can trace it all back to, like Instagram and Twitter and just smartphones in general. And so I, as someone who sometimes feels anxious and depressed, I decided that this was a really interesting thing. And so instead of going to my therapy appointment this week, I decided that I would just not go, and I instead would just throw away my smartphone. And in doing that, I realized that I have to kind of fill the void in my life with some other things to like help me unplug. And so I figured, I might as well share them with you. So I'm really excited. So let's start. Okay, so my first item is one thing that I use my phone for a lot is just to learn about the news. And so I clearly can't do that anymore now that I've just like thrown it away. So to keep up with the news, I have this National Geographic, and it's from May 1994, but I think it's still pretty current. I mean, it talks about Turkey, and that's still a country, and it has something about Alaska, and that's still a state. So I think that this will get me pretty far, because I just love learning about world politics. So there's that. Another thing I really like to do on my phone is check the temperature outside, which I can't do, and I'm not very receptive to temperature, and I can't really tell. So it's a really good thing that my family has this meat thermometer, so I can just go outside and just check the temperature with this, and then like stick my arm out, and if it gets wet, then I know that it's raining. So I never really have to check the forecast again. Another thing that I like to use my phone for is keep up with celebrities and compare myself to them. But luckily we have these different magazines that my parents saved. So I have this one, and it talks about the X-Files, but it's a People magazine, and even though it's from 1995, I can still find a lot of things in it. So I can learn about different people. And look, here's a picture of Jennifer Aniston. I really wish I could look like her. Whoa, dang, I'm comparing myself to people and I'm not even on social media. That is a concept. Anyways, and then I have an Entertainment Weekly here. It's about Star Trek, but that's okay. I love any type of entertainment. And then I have this Rolling Stone. So that helps, I can come here and read about different popular TV shows and CDs. So that is also something that I can use to unplug. For my next item, another thing I like to do on my phone is online shop and think about all of the things that I want and that I don't have. And since I can't online shop anymore with this new diet I'm on, I've been collecting catalogs. So here I have a Costco catalog. See, I can buy a Wills 3.1 cubic foot 2-door compact refrigerator for only $99.99. And it says that it's also available on Costco.com, but I'm going in store. The next thing I like to use my phone for is just like when I'm bored, or I'm out in public, or I'm waiting in line, or like I'm waiting at the doctor's office, I like to be able to do something. So I usually just pull my phone out. But since I don't have my phone anymore, I went out and I got this book. It's about the First World War. It's a complete history by Martin Gilbert. And he's also the author of the Second World War, which is what I'm going to read next. But it has some pretty good reviews from, the Boston Globe, so I'm pretty excited to just read this, like when I'm waiting in line at the post office. yeah, so it looks like a really good book, has some pictures in it, so that's engaging. The next thing that I want to show you guys is sometimes, you know, we are just living our lives and then we hear something that we don't know about, and so we kind of have to like investigate, which is why I got myself a dictionary. I really recommend this brand. It's the Webster's New World Dictionary, and it's a #1 New York Times bestseller, which I always appreciate. So, you know, when I'm just walking around and I hear a word in conversation, you know, if someone says, when someone says hassock, and I don't know what that is, I can look in here and I can see that it is a firm cushion used as a footstool or seat. And I don't even have to ask Siri, which is also a very exciting thing. Another thing that I like to use my phone for is sometimes when it's dark, I like to use it as a flashlight, but I don't need a flashlight when I have my headlamp. So, you know, and it goes through a lot of different settings, so it's actually a lot cooler than an iPhone flashlight anyways. So I can just use this. I'll just carry it around with me. I'll probably strap it to my belt with like a carabiner. I'm still working on all of the little technical things with that. Another thing I like to use my phone for is I like to listen to music. And so this was kind of a challenging thing for me because I looked for my Walkman, but it turns out I gave that away last week, you know, back when I was still just dependent on my iPhone. So I have realized that I'm gonna have to make my own music and just fun for myself, but you know, I think that that's a good challenge. So, you know, I have some items. You know, I have my recorder, so when I'm just in the car and I want to listen to music, I can just pull this baby out. You're insecure, don't know what. Just like that. That's just my favorite tune to play, and you know, I always know how to play that. And then I can also just carry around my maraca and maybe my xylophone as well. You know, so I have some options. You know, and the good thing about this also is that when I'm out in public and I want sound effects, or I miss like the sound of my phone going off, you know, every time someone talks to me, I can just be like, and then I can respond, and it's almost like having a phone. It's very effective, actually. The next thing that I would like to show you is I find that I have a really hard time sharing my emotions with people because, you know, I'm a millennial and I'm just very dependent on my iPhone and like emojis and stuff, and so one of the most daunting things about giving up my phone was just going to be, how do I communicate with people and how do I tell them like how I'm feeling? So I went out and I purchased this sticker pack, and it has some really good faces on it, so I can share it with people. So here, I'll show you up close. You know, so if I'm feeling happy or sad, oh, this isn't in focus. See, okay, there we go, it's in focus. So, you know, if I'm feeling sad, I can just show this to someone and I don't have to tell them about how I'm feeling, which I think is a very nice concept. Okay, so my next item is, I was very upset when I realized I would have to give up Pinterest because I just like looking up, you know, foods to make, and so that was really a difficult thing for me to get my mind around. But then I remembered that there are these things out there called cookbooks. So this is one of my favorites. It's Time to Grill, and it says get in, get out, get grilling, and I just think that's a really catchy title. I love some good alliteration. And so, like, for example, I can just like flip through this and just look at the different food options and think about what I want for dinner. So I think for dinner tonight I'm going to make the Turkish rack of lamb. Really excited about that. And it has it all spelled out here. So that's really exciting. I didn't know that they made these books until my mom told me about it about an hour ago. yeah, so this is just a really cool concept if you haven't heard about cookbooks. And then the next thing is sometimes I just have, you know, questions. I kind of talked about this earlier, but you know, sometimes I just have questions about the world and like what's going on. So I mean, for example, if I had a question about George Gershwin, who's actually a very good composer, would recommend. If I had questions about him, I would just pull out my encyclopedia and look up George Gershwin, and then I can learn all about him. Did you know that in 1924 he wrote Rhapsody in Blue? See, I wouldn't have known this unless I had my encyclopedia. Who needs phones? And then my last thing is I just have some good old paper and stamps. And I figured I would just use these because I think I'm probably going to want a pizza later this week. But since I can't call the pizza place or do like an online order, I think I'm just going to have to write it. So here, I'll show you how I'm going to do this. So I just have this piece of paper and I'm just going to say...
1 large pepperoni pizza, thin crust. Please deliver, as I cannot know/find out when it would be available for pickup.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna, I'll sign my name here so they know that I'm not just a faker. And then I'm just gonna fold it up and I'll just address it to Domino's Pizza, Idaho. And then I'll just seal it. And yeah, there we go. And I'll just put it in the mailbox tomorrow. And since it's Monday as I'm filming this, my pizza will probably be ready on Friday. But that works for me because the analog way of life requires you to be patient. Anyways, that is all for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video and have some good ideas as to how you can unplug. And I know for sure that if we all unplug, we will stop comparing ourselves to others. We will all be happy. Depression will go away. Anxiety will go away. World peace will be restored. ISIS will be managed. No one will have eating disorders. Yeah, basically the world will be a great place. So anyways, that is all for today. Please like and subscribe and let me know what your favorite tips are and if you have any tips for me. Thank you. Goodbye.